Everybody, you know what it's time for. It's that time for another IGTV Live with yours truly, Sam Led. I am a coach, strategist, and trauma coach in beautiful Santa Barbara, California. I am nursing a cold, but I'm still here with you to talk to all of you today. Cold or no cold, I am dedicated to seeing the change in all of you, and hopefully this will put a little bit of a smile on your day. I know that sounds like a cliche, but it's the truth. How is everybody? IGTV Live on this beautiful Tuesday evening here in Southern California. Again, I am Coach Sam Led. How are ya? That's right. Illness or no illness, I'm here talking to all of you today. Playing the beautiful Hal Schaefer. God, this goes back. One of the most brilliant jazz pianists of the last century. Coming to you live. Beautiful Santa Barbara, California. I'm talking about compassion. I know, it's such a cliched topic. And I'm going to turn this down. But every personal development person probably has talked about compassion. But it's really interesting to me that there should be more conversation about compassion for others. But I'm going to put this down here first. I'm going to talk about compassion for yourself, which is really an underrated topic. I mean, you know. And I'm sure all the narcissists out there are saying, you see, I love myself. Yeah, no. That's on the other side of the spectrum. I'm talking about loving yourself and having compassion for yourself. Because in this day and age, when we're bombarded by social media and constant messages of how we're supposed to be, how we're supposed to relate to others, how we're supposed to vote. And in this political climate and in this world we live in, we need more compassion for ourselves and others more than ever. Right? You in the nosebleed seats. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Those of you that are coming on later on, this again will be available for 24 hours on my feed. I know you're going to want to watch the reruns. It's hot. This is a hot show, right? IGTV Live. Happy holidays, everybody. Hope everyone had a good Hanukkah. And Christmas is coming. 'Tis the season. It's a really important topic, especially for the holidays, when a lot of us are feeling disenchanted. We're feeling frustrated for whatever reason. Bless you out there. My girlfriend's sneezing. But I want you to think about what really compassion is. And every personal development person, from Deepak Chopra to Alan Watts, talk about compassion. I mean, it's been studied in science and everything else. Hey, LA Tiger from LA, 98 miles away. How are you? Welcome. I want to talk about the concept of compassion as it's an inside job, and you can't have compassion for others unless you have compassion for yourself first. Without sounding sacrimonious, without sounding too preachy and idealistic, I want to tell you a little story first about what compassion really is. From where I'm sitting as a coach and someone who does this for a living and helping others really see their own selves as successful and meaningful people that deserve to have success in their life. My grandfather came here as an immigrant from Ukraine, from a little village called Radomyshl. He came here with nothing, didn't even graduate high school, and he started a men's shop in the Port of Jersey, in Elizabeth, New Jersey, a long time ago. This is in the 30s and the 40s. He knew himself. He had meaning within himself. He had a sense of who he was as a man, as a human being, as a person on this earth. He started this men's store, and he employed the entire area. Didn't matter if you were black or white or Puerto Rican or you name it. he gave jobs to all the local kids, all the neighborhood kids, and didn't question. You needed a job, you worked at Harry's Man Shop in the beautiful Elizabeth, New Jersey. No, it's not beautiful, but good people come from New Jersey. Don't forget it. Dirty Jersey. And he truly defined what compassion is for people that, needed work. Yeah, the local neighborhood kids that needed work, and he employed the whole neighborhood. And it was a blue-collar neighborhood. It was in a wealthy area. And he felt compassion and he loved others. He truly cared for others. But it came from in here first. There's this idealistic compassion, like on Facebook when someone passes away or there's some kind of tragedy in the world. And, we say, our hearts and minds, we say prayers, are for others. That's not, from where I'm sitting, that's not what really compassion is. That's just writing something on Facebook. But true compassion is like my grandfather, and I'm sure everyone out there has family members, including yourself, that have been compassionate to others and have given to others when they didn't have anything. My grandfather gave back to the community by employing the whole community. And he had this sense of selflessness that didn't impede on his own ability to make a living, didn't impede on his own ability to raise a family, my mother and my grandmother. Didn't impede on his ability to survive in the world. He saw outside of himself, and he was able to transcend the me-ness. Even though it was through his own sense of who he was and his own developed ethic of compassion for himself first, that he was able to be compassionate to others. The interesting story about all that is during the '68 race riots, all the buildings, all the shops and local businesses were burned down during the race riots in 1968. This was a very turbulent time. His shop was the only shop that was not burned down. It actually still stands to this day, but it's boarded up. Who knows what it is? My point being is that compassion is an inside job. It comes from here. If you don't have compassion for yourself first, so my grandfather, being an immigrant, saw his presence in the world, saw that his life, despite his obstacles, despite how difficult it was, he felt that he had meaning. He knew how to be alone and self-soothe and to really ground himself in what he was put on this earth to do. Hey Linda, how are you from Indonesia? Welcome back. Thank you. It's a pleasure and an honor. Hope you are well. We're talking about compassion. You're famous, Linda. I just want to let you know, in Santa Barbara. So are you, LA Tiger. He understood what it was to be a righteous human being because he had a developed sense of self within himself. He knew who he was, and it wasn't an inflated sense of ego. It wasn't out of a sense of looking for supply to take from others. He realized that giving back and providing the community with I'm glad that's excellent. In providing jobs to the community, his way of showing compassion was actually helping him build a successful haberdashery in the port of Jersey, in Elizabeth, New Jersey, many, many years ago. It doesn't matter what decade, in 2018, the end of 2018, even though we have a lot of distractions out there. We have, besides social media, we have our jobs, and we have our families, and we have to make an income, and we have to take responsibility for other people's lives if you're a parent. And I actually, the other day, I was talking to someone, and they said, how do I have compassion for myself if I am so busy trying to take care of others? It's a good question. And the answer is that you need to sit down with yourself and say, okay, my responsibility as a parent, or my responsibility as a business owner, or my responsibility as a human being on this planet stems from my own sense of self and how I think about myself and how it's projected onto others. That's not a one-dimensional construct. We all have different selves that we project on others when we're working or when we're being a good boyfriend or a good husband or a good parent. Hi, Sarah. Welcome. For those of you that are just joining me, you can watch this for 24 hours afterwards on my feed. We're talking about compassion. So I believe, and there's been a lot of research on this, scientific research, is that you have to have compassion for yourself first. Hey, Jeannie Berger. Welcome. Thank you for joining. You have to have compassion for yourself first before it's possible to have compassion for others. Now, let me explain. Again, this is not an inflated sense of self. This is not a form of narcissism or selfishness. It's compassion and selfishness are two different constructs on a continuum that don't overlap. Okay? And energetically and emotionally, you kind of can understand the difference if you are awake in this world and you've done your work and you are an erudite human being on this planet, perfectly imperfect, right? They've done a lot of studies on what compassion for yourself and how that is a way of being a compassionate person and being compassionate for others as a human being in all areas of your life. Work, relationships, as a parent. And we all slip up, We all can be selfish. We all can be narcissistic. But doesn't mean you're a narcissist, doesn't mean that you're a selfish person. So my point is, I want you to think about a second and ask yourself the question, when is the last time I actually taken a compassion inventory of myself? When is the last time I've actually been compassionate to myself? That's through self-soothing. That's through really knowing who you are. I'm not talking about career-wise, but as a human being. We all have our baggage that we bring to the table. We all have our trauma from the past. We all have stuff that makes us who we are. Oh my God. Hey, Dave. It's been a long time, man. Dave Barish. How are you, man? Big hugs. We all know intrinsically that as human beings on this planet, we have the ability to transcend the chaos of our chaotic lives and have compassion for ourselves during those quiet moments when we're not working, when we're not taking care of the kids, when we're not taking care of others. Because when you have compassion for yourself as an erudite human being on this planet, you're really genuinely are able to have compassion for others. And that's really important to hear that. There have been a lot of studies done over the years, over the decades, about resistance fighters during the Holocaust, or they called them righteous Gentiles who saved Jews from the gas chambers. And they took them individually and looked at who they were as people, their personality structure, their profession, etc. These people knew who they were, had a real defined sense of self, had meaning and purpose in their lives. And that's why they were able to transmute compassion onto others. Okay? So what I want you to do is take a piece of paper and ask yourself, how does compassion for myself equate to me being successful in my life? I'm not talking about going to the spa, getting a massage once a week. That helps. Let's, or self-care, right? We all have to do that in order to be our best self. I'm talking about, how do I feel about myself as a human being? That is something that we don't sit down and ask ourselves. We're so busy in this monolithic journey of taking care of others and making our monthly nut, making our living and paying the mortgage and our car payments and our blah, 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 blah. But that's still all going to be there. It's not going anywhere. Hello, I can't pronounce your name, but it's a great name, and I like it. I'm going to wave to you. Wait, what'd I do? Roxbranja. Hello, welcome. That's a very cool name. And I'm sorry if I butchered it, but we're just happy that you're here. Thank you. How am I being compassionate towards myself so I can show up and be a better person for others? You can listen to every kind of self-help TED. You can listen to every kind of TED talk out there. You can, be a pillar in society. Join a 4-H club. I don't know. Run your church or your mosque, or be a holy roller. Whatever. That still doesn't translate into how you are feeding yourself, how you're taking care of yourself. Because even people who have the best intentions sometimes still can fall off the compassion wagon and do things that are, at times, can be not good. So take a real look at yourself. Take a real look at yourself. It's interesting. As human beings, we get so wrapped up in the daily chaos of our life, is that we really don't take notes about our own compassion and our own self-love. What are you doing on a day-to-day basis to be compassionate for yourself? Okay? And it's not about going to the spa. It's not about, doing your daily routine stuff. Have you ever sat down and said, you know what? I know who I am. I'm very lucky to be alive. Every day I wake up, I'm alive. I am Sam. And Sam deserves to be loved by others, but I need to love myself first, in order for you to show up for others and to be compassionate to others. And these studies that have been out there for decades about, again, resistance fighters during the Holocaust, during a period of genocide, these righteous Gentiles who helped the Jews survive a terrible calamity of the Holocaust, they all have the same redeeming feature, is that they knew thyself. They had real meaning and purpose in their life, and they were able to transcend their own fear and their own sense of loss and of themselves, because they were taking big risks. They were putting their families and themselves in danger by taking in and hiding Jews and others that were being mass murdered by the Nazis. Now, I know that's an extreme example, and I could spend the whole evening talking about, these righteous people that saved lives. You don't have to go to that extreme. And you don't have to be like the ultimate volunteer person and go volunteer at the Salvation Army in order to have compassion for yourself and others. If you think that going to volunteer at the local soup kitchen means that you have compassion for yourself, that's nonsense. That's not how it works. It's really sitting down and taking an inventory, and literally creating a compassion inventory of what things am I doing, whether actively or inside my head, that are really compassionate for myself. And a lot of you, and again, this is not meant to be idealistic nonsense. This works. I've done this with clients. I've talked about this in other talks over the years about self-compassion. And it really is powerful. So tomorrow, the next day, or over the holiday when you have more time, sit down with yourself, by yourself, if you can. If you have like 5 minutes, just spend some time sitting on the proverbial couch, right? Be your own analyst. Not being self-critical. Don't sit there and okay, I'm an asshole, and I did this asshole thing today, or I had to fire this person today, or blah, 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 blah. No. Why do you deserve to have compassion for yourself first? How is it going to help you? How is it going to help you and help others in your life? Because when you have compassion for yourself, you're a more successful business person. Hey, Higuerello, how are you? Welcome. You're a more successful business person. You're a more successful parent or friend or partner. And you're able to see the forest in the trees. You're able to see the big picture. Now, I'm not saying that you need to go to do an ayahuasca ceremony and break on through to the other side and go to ashrams and all that stuff, or go to temple, or go to wherever you go to pray every single weekend, because that's your Kwan, that's your default. No, it's not about any of that. It's about here. It's about up here. What am I doing to be compassionate for me right now? I'm not talking, again, this is not about self-care stuff, going to the gym and blah, 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 blah. How do you feel about yourself? What kind of conversations are you having with Dr. Mitra? Hello. Linda, what kind of conversations are you having about yourself? What are you telling yourself every morning? You know, I'm not talking about the Stuart Smalley Saturday Night Live. I'm dating myself, but this was in the 1990s. Stuart Smalley was this guy in Saturday Night Live, and he would sit there and he'd look into a mirror and he'd say, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like me. That's not the kind of compassion I'm talking about. I'm talking about really sitting down and having a serious conversation with yourself and saying, cut the bullshit, okay? No nonsense. What am I doing besides my normal routine? Now, I'm not talking about keeping yourself healthy, like physically. I'm talking about what kind of dialogue am I having with myself? How is it affecting me, my emotional health? How is it affecting others around me? How is it affecting my job? How is it affecting my relationships? Then you get to the Quan, you get to the big picture, and you see, oh, okay. You know, because, you know what? Some of the smartest people talk to themselves. I talk to myself on a daily basis, you know. To the average person, I look like a nut job. But hey, it works. And who cares? Right? So, your homework for all of you out there. Homework for you, and you in the nosebleed seats is to create a compassion inventory. Because you all deserve to have a fulfilling and a loving and a successful life. However that manifests, however that, you know, comes about, okay? There's no, like, shortcut to any of this, and this is not easy stuff, especially if you're going through hard times, especially if you're like, holy shit, I'm dealing with some difficult stuff right now. How can I have compassion for myself when I'm worrying about my sick child, or I'm worrying about my sick parent, or my job is on the line? That's the best time to do it. That's the hardest time to do it, when you're like stuck in the thick of this awful, yucky stuff, when you're sick at home with the flu and like your kids are yelling and screaming and you have a deadline for work tomorrow. You still have a minute or two to sit down, like I'm sitting down here talking to you guys, to write down, okay, you know, how am I being compassionate to myself? Now, I'm not saying, maybe I should quit my job, and maybe I should go to Bali for a month. Sounds great. But that's still not going to change anything, because that's a momentary distraction. You can go on all the trips, you can go to all the most beautiful places, but if you don't have compassion for yourself, when you get back, you're still that person who really doesn't know how to have compassion for yourself. It's so important. So then, when you really develop that sense of compassion for yourself, that sense of self, that sense, well, you know what? What meaning do I bring to myself? What things am I doing? What kind of inner work am I doing for myself so that I can be the best person that I can be? Because we're perfectly imperfect people on this, planet, this spinning rock in the middle of the solar system, right? I mean, come on, right? Again, I'm not trying to blow idealistic smoke up your butts at all. That's not the purpose of this. The purpose of this is for you to see really how it is so important to develop a sense of self-compassion, and it's not about really having self-love. It's having true empathy for yourself first, okay? You know what's going to happen when you start practicing this, when on a weekly basis you create, can you see this? It's backwards. Compassion inventories. And some of you are rolling your eyes, but that's too bad. Do it anyways. Things will start to shift for you. Things will start to shift for you in your life when you really understand what it's like to have compassion for yourself. Because then it'll become autonomic. It'll become like an autonomic response when people need you. But you need to be there for yourself first. Not in a narcissistic, self-serving, me universe kind of way. Because you know what happens when you're in a self-serving, me, narcissistic? And we are all guilty of this. We were all 23 once. Well, I'm 24, so Right? I'm 24, right, Jeannie? Yes. We've all been, we've all made mistakes. We've all done stupid stuff. It's when you see the difference between loving yourself and having compassion for yourself, it becomes a Venn diagram, but it also takes away that sense of, entitlement. Because it's not about giving until you have nothing to give. Because what can end up happening if you're not practicing self-compassion in the right way, you'll see the drain, the energetic drain, the physical drain. Because either you're not practicing what we're talking about right now, you, everyone across the world. Hi, Abni, welcome. Welcome all over the world. It's awesome. What end up happening is that when you start having compassion, real, genuine, not, okay, I did my quota of good deeds, my mitzvot, as we say, my good deeds. Hey, Mark Calloway, welcome. When you start practicing real compassion for yourself, the compassion that you develop and the relationships and the bonds and the empathy that you have for others will be genuine and real. It won't feel contrived. It won't feel put together at the last minute. It will feel real. Hey, Sanya, welcome. I want you to practice this. I want you to really take this in. And we're going to talk about this next week. Next week, which is the 18th. A little bit of housekeeping real quick. For those of you that missed the first part of this, you can watch it for 24 hours. I recommend it. And if you don't, well, oh well. I'm here to be of service for all of you. This is what I do for my living. If you're interested in my work, you can go to my website. Go to my website. Go for it. www.solutionist180.com. It talks about the work I do, the type of coaching I do, the type of services I provide for my clients. Maze Go Songs. Hey man, welcome. But I want you to really think about this because I do care about all y'all. I can't fix your problems. That's not where I'm here. I'm here as a conduit to shake that proverbial tree of thoughts in your perfectly imperfect supercomputer of a brain, right? I'm the catalyst, and the space between whatever crap that you're going through, whatever shit that you're dealing with right now, because, life's a proverbial, figuring things out. I need to find solutions to problem stuff. But you'll be a better self-advocate. You'll be a better solutionist. Hey, D. Jones. Awesome, man. Thanks for joining. You'll be a better problem solver, and you'll be a better self-advocate, and you'll have a more internal developed sense of self. And I know that sounds like sanctimonious self-help nonsense, but it's really true when you, on a weekly basis, create a compassion inventory. But it has to be real. It has to be authentic. No bullshit. Don't bullshit yourself because you're just lying to yourself. And if you're having a hard time with it, if it's not feeling right, it's okay. Just take a moment and sit down. Take a deep breath. Don't criticize yourself. The self-critic, the monkey mind is going to say, you're just an asshole. No, I'm just kidding. How can you be more compassionate for yourself? What ways can you be more compassionate for yourself? Now, again, those of you just coming aboard, it's not about going to the gym more often. I mean, that helps. It's not going and getting a massage once a week or whatever you do to get the dopamine going, okay? It's about asking these important questions. Where is the drop-off? Where am I missing in terms of how I can be more compassionate and really have a better sense of who I am? What will happen though, when you do this on a weekly basis, you can start off just once a week. Your job performance will increase. You'll be a better parent. You'll be a better friend. You'll be a better partner or lover or spouse. And things will fall into place for you better. Now, there's no money back guarantee on this because this is free information and I'm providing this to you. But I really want you to think about this. Take a second to do a compassion inventory for yourself. Now, just as a reminder, This is not about self-care, like physically going to the gym and all that stuff. This is about what kind of meta messages am I telling myself? How am I talking to myself, right? What am I saying to myself on a regular basis, you know? What will also end up happening is you'll have less road rage, especially for all my California followers. You know, living in California is an absolute blessing and a curse. We have the most traffic anywhere in the world. You're going to have less road rage because once you develop compassion for yourself, real compassion, no bullshit compassion, then you'll have more compassion for the drivers around you, because that guy who is cut you off on the freeway, right? Or wherever you live. Hey, Michael, how are you, man? Thanks for joining us. The guy who cut you off on the freeway, you know, instead of, you know, speeding up to him and giving him the finger and telling him that he's the worst person in the world and thinking he's a horrible human being for putting your life in danger, or you might think, you look at it differently. You know what's going to end up happening? You're going to be like, well, maybe this guy, maybe even if he isn't, who gives a shit, right? Maybe the person who cut me off on the freeway today was rushing to the hospital to see a sick kid or family member who got in an accident and wants to get there because, you know, he doesn't want his family member or his child to be alone in the hospital by himself. I want you to think about that for a second and see how compassion for yourself equates to compassion for others, but real compassion, not, you know, I love myself and I'm, you know, look at all my accomplishments, look at all the plaques on my walls, and, you know, all my degrees, and I'm such a great person. No, that's not what it's about. I don't care if you went to Harvard or you went to silly college, or you know, are living in La Jolla or Elizabeth, New Jersey. Love Elizabeth, New Jersey. Practice that self-compassion, and you're going to go places. I hope this has been of help. I will see all of you next week. I won't miss it. You guys are important to me. 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, another IGTV Live with Coach Sam Led. Check out my website. If any of this stuff resonates with you, if you feel that my services can be of help to you, go to my website. You can click the Contact Me on the homepage, or just send me a direct message. Love to chat with you. Tell me what's going on. And I'll be honest, I'm very honest. My style is very direct, East Coast. What's up? If I can be of help. If not, I'll refer you to someone that will be of better help to you. Have a great week. Happy holidays. Hope everyone has a wonderful holiday. I will see you on the 18th. Have a great week, everybody.